Yellowstone National Park with a lot of fresh air and blue sky and thermal pools, hydrothermal, thermals, hydraulics, something. And this is grizzly bear country, which reminds me of an old story that I've been telling for 36 years now. I think it was about this time in 1971, September. And I'd been up in Alaska for months, actually off and on for a couple of years, and I was getting ready to head south, and I was driving up the Kenai Highway with a couple of friends, and from the road I spotted 3 grizzly bears sunning themselves along the railroad tracks, which were maybe, I don't know, 50 yards from the highway. So I stopped and I got out and I got my 16mm movie camera and set it on the tripod, and then I went sneaking through this long, deep gully and then up on the trestle of these tracks coming towards the grizzly bears. And I got to within, maybe 100 feet of them. And I was real quiet. I was been downwind in the shadows, and I figured they wouldn't see me and they wouldn't smell me. So very quietly I went to set my tripod up to shoot some footage of these bears, and my left foot slipped on a rock on the downslope of the trestle. And all 3 grizzlies, it was a mama and 2 half-grown cubs, they reared up and boom, they charged after me. And and I squeezed the button on the camera. I got actually 25 frames of these 3 grizzlies coming right at me before I swooped up the tripod, turned and ran down this slope. And they roared a roar that was beyond sound. It was like an electric charge went through my body, and I get to the bottom of this grade, and my legs went absolutely numb, and I fell flat on my face in the mud, lying there on the ground. Just your worst nightmare. This was my worst nightmare, and it was really happening. And I looked over as I lay in the mud, and I see mud packed up in the lenses of these Carl Zeiss lenses of my movie camera. And I'm thinking, oh God, I ruined my lenses, which very well could have been my last thought on the earth. But 30 years later, no, about 20 years later, I learned that I read in a book on animal behavior, that a grizzly will break off a charge if you lay down flat on the ground. So that was my lucky day. And when I finally got up, which seemed like about 20 years later, got on my feet and started running again up this next slope. And at some point I looked back, and I saw the 3 grizzlies sauntering back to where they had been sunning themselves. So, and I get back up to the car where my 2 friends were, and they assured me that it was too bad they didn't have the movie camera, because that was the shot. Oh, geez. Yeah, it's a nice story to tell. 35, 36 years away from the moment. There it is.